Okay, this is a quick video on how I fixed an oil leak that was coming from the clutch cable of my 2002 Dyna Lowrider. The last time I rode this, after I parked it, there was a little puddle of oil the next day under the bike. And after a bunch of examination, it turns out it was leaking from the adjuster right here. It was dribbling down, hitting the frame, and then leaking onto the concrete. And that day, it was almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and I had lubricated the clutch cable maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. So I figured maybe just the heat of the day let that oil kind of loose, and that's how it came out of this section. So I put a little piece of cardboard down, and I rode the bike again yesterday, and it was maybe like 65 degrees, so the weather was cool. But after I parked the bike, there was another little puddle of oil, and the oil was coming out of the same spot. When I lubricated the cable, I used maybe 10 drops of oil, so it's impossible to have this much oil dripping out of the cable. So I got on the internet and Googled it, and it seems like it's a common problem. A few guys have taken it to the dealer and they've changed the cable 3 times. You can also switch out an O-ring, and it never fixed it. And it all comes down to one thing that fixes the problem. There's a vent tube in the transmission, and it's right here. And what happens is this little hose gets clogged. This is the vent tube of the transmission, and you'll see mine is clogged. We get these things called mud dauber wasps, and that thing has clogged up the end of the vent tube. When the vent tube becomes clogged, the transmission builds up a little bit of pressure, and it actually pushes the oil up the clutch cable, and that's where you get the little bit of drippage. So I'm going to pull this hose and clean that out and see if it fixes the cable leak. Here's the factory manual, and they show the transmission, and there's the vent tube. I use a flathead screwdriver and kind of pry at the end of the hose as I pull away. And here's the vent tube. This part is totally clogged, and when I look down the center, I can see there's mud all the way to about right here. They say you should also check the fitting. So I'm going to use this little dental mirror. And it doesn't look clogged, but I'm going to take this little piece of wire and just to make sure, kind of fish it in there. There's no obstruction. This part is nice and clean and open. Okay, it's cleaned out and obstruction free. I'm going to reinstall and then take it for a test drive. And I just noticed right here is one of those mud dauber, they call them an organ pipe nest. There's like a thing right there where they build up their little mud spot. Okay, I just got back. I'm gonna put this piece of cardboard down and I'll wait until tomorrow morning to see if there's any leakage. Okay, it's the next morning. Hey, it's not leaking. It's fixed. So if your bike is leaking from the clutch cable, it's the transmission vent tube. It took maybe 5 minutes and it cost $0. These mud daubers make these little nest things in the garage, and they'll find spots and fill them with dirt. Here you can see they even clogged up my little power strip. They'll even clog up my air thing on my compressor. So now I put this little cap because they will fill this little tube up with their mud